Hello everyone, myself Dr. Sonam Gupta, working as an associate professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering. So today I am going to discuss some effects about the advanced CSS. Now basically, as we know that what is CSS? CSS stands for cascading style sheets. In CSS we can make multiple style sheets, like for example in multiple style sheet, if some properties which have been defined for the same selector, like the selector is, for example, there is a paragraph selector, or we are having a group selector, ID selector, cascade, any of the type of that selector can be used in different style sheets, and the value from the last sheet style sheet will be used. Like for example, if I am having these style sheets like H1, I am having this color supposed to be navy, then we assume that an internal style sheet, for example H1 element, it will have this same color as well. Furthermore, after this H1, if I make it H1 color orange, now when I will call this internal style sheet, basically what is happening over here, we are having two headings or two selectors H1. For one H1, the color is defined to be navy, and for another H1, the color is defined to be orange. Now whenever I will call this selector again in my web page, what will happen? Instead of navy, it will always call this orange. That means the last term which will be used in the selector, that particular style will be used for that style sheet. Now let's see this example. We are making in CSS, the doc type HTML head style sheet is made, and this is the external reference to that style sheet. What is happening? I had made this style sheet over here, this H1, and this style sheet has been called in this particular example. So the name of this style sheet, suppose that is mystyle.css. In that mystyle.css, that style has been created. In this style, the H1 tag has been defined to be as the orange, for example. Now what will happen in this is a heading. It will show that this is a particular style of heading which has been used over here, and the style of this document, it is a combination of the external style sheet plus of the internal style sheet. Now in this, whenever if the internal style sheet, it is defined before the link of the external style sheet, then the H1 element, that will come to be the navy. Next, see this example, this doc type HTML head, this HTML head has been used. So what will happen? This HTML head is used, style tag has been used. In the style tag, this color orange, and the style tag has been closed. Now again I am using this as an external style sheet. So link rel is equal to style sheet. This is the way how we include the external CSS into our program. Type is text/CSS, that is either it will be read as a text, and if the browser support it, then it will be read as a CSS, and then href is mystyle.css. Okay, so in the body, this is a heading and this is a p tag that has been used. So what will be used over here? The cascading order will be decided. So all the styles in a page will be cascaded into a new virtual sheet by various rules. Now what is the rule? The new rule number 1 is that the internal style, inline style which has been used inside the HTML element, that will be used. Rule number 2, the external and internal style sheets, those will be included into the heading section, and the browser default will be used. So where the number 1, it is having the highest priority, that means the highest priority will be given to the inline style sheet. That means in a program, if we are having an inline style sheet, internal and external, what will happen? The most priority, the highest priority will be given to the inline style sheet. After that, the priority will come for the internal, and the final priority will come for the external style sheet. Next comes in advanced CSS, how we can define the colors in CSS. For defining the color in the CSS, we can use a specific color name that can be used. If I want the color of the text to be blue, white, green, any color, then I can simply use the name of the color. For example, like H1 style background color, that I had used dogger blue. So what will happen? The background of this hello world, it will be of the dogger blue. So this is how I can define a color, just by writing the name of that particular column. Okay, like if I write background color is tomato, so what will happen? It will write the background color of that particular text, it will become tomato. Text color, if I want to set the color of the text, so the use will be like heading. With the heading I want to use, so h3 style is equal to color colon tomato. So what will happen? The text which is included in this h1, it will be of the color tomato. Similarly, for the style, any style that can be used by the help of this text color. Now, I want to change the border color. To set the color of the border, I can use border. How many pixel I want to set for the pixel for that particular border? Solid tomato, solid dogger, solid violet, any color I can set if I want to change the color of the border. Just I have to use that attribute border. With border, what will be the width of the border? Like this will be the width of the border, and what will be the color of the border, that will be included in it. Now, next comes the CSS color values. To define the CSS color values, we have this style background color RGB. We can have this hexadecimal code, and we can have this HSL values as well. Like in the previous example, we have seen that I have written the name of the color. If I am not sure about the name of the color, what are the other ways I can write the color name? The first one is that by the help of this RGB, that is red, green, blue model. Another method is by the help of this hexadecimal code of the color. If I know that, how to write it? Just use this attribute background hyphen color that we were using earlier as well. Now, just the difference is that instead of writing the name of the color, I will be using this hex code. Okay, along with this, I can have this HSL values as well. So, this is how we can have these various ways to define the color values. This is a background color, CSS background. So, the background property, what will this background color attribute will do? The property, it will specify the background color of any element. Now, to specify the background color, just use this attribute background hyphen color colon and the name of the color which we want to use. In this example as well, like if I want to change the background color and I am not sure about the name of the color, I can use the same models that were being used earlier as well, like background color green, light blue. So, this is how this will happen. Now, to identify or to make a background image in a particular web page through CSS, what will be the attribute background hyphen image? By the help of the background hyphen image, this attribute can be used to define the image of the background. Like background hyphen image, URL will be given, that what is the URL where that particular image is located. Whenever the page will be loaded, the page, it will go to this URL. Through this URL, the image will be fetched and this particular image will be sent over to the background. So, this is how this background image will be used. So, background image property, it specifies an image to use as the background of the element. Now, I want this background image to be repeated both horizontally and vertically. So, what will happen? So, some images should be repeated horizontally or some may be repeated vertically. To repeat those images, what we can do? We are having a doc style background image, the URL it is used. Now, to repeat that particular image, background hyphen repeat, repeat hyphen X. Through this, the images will be repeated horizontally only. If I want to repeat the images in a horizontal manner, like I am having a background web page like this, I want this image to be repeated horizontally. So, what I have to do? I just have to write the URL of the image where the image is located. Along with this, one more attribute will be used, background hyphen repeat, and that is repeat hyphen X. So, by this X, the image will be repeated horizontally only. Now, in a similar way, if I want that image to be repeated vertically, that means this is the image and I want that this is to be repeated in this vertical section. So, what I have to write? I just have to write background hyphen repeat, repeat hyphen Y. So, this is the way how we can make the images to be repeated horizontally as well as vertically. If I am using horizontally, write to the X axis. If I am using vertically, then write the Y axis. Now, similarly, I do not want the images to be repeated. By default, the images will be repeated horizontally as well as vertically. If I do not write anything, the images will be repeated by default. I want that the images not to be repeated. So, just I have to rewrite background hyphen repeat, no repeat. By the help of this attribute, value of this attribute to be no repeat, the images will not be repeated on the background. What will happen? This is a simple web page. This is a single image. This single image will be located at this particular position itself. This image will not be repeated. But if I do not write this, if I do not write this no repeat, what will happen? This image will be repeated all over to the web page, irrespective of whether it is being repeated on the horizontal axis or on the vertical axis. Okay. So, this means that if I want that image to be repeated all over the web page, I do not have to specify anything. If I want the image to be repeated on the y-axis itself, so I have to write background hyphen repeat, repeat hyphen y. If I want on the x-axis, that means horizontally, I have to write repeat hyphen x, and if I do not want the images to be repeated, just simply write no repeat. So, in this, the image will be displayed only once. Next comes the background position. What will be the position of that particular image which is to be displayed? For that particular thing, we are having background image. First, the image of the background will be given. After that, background hyphen repeat, that will be no repeat. I do not want the images to be repeated, and I want the background position to be right top. So, this is how the background position can be given, like left, right, top, bottom, center, or by the combination like I have given right top. So, that means if this is the web page, so top right will be given. If I write left, then left top will be given, bottom top, bottom left, bottom right, or in the center. So, this is how these images can be positioned on the background. Similarly, I want the right margin, that also I can specify that what will be the margin from the right, what will be the margin from the left. This is how these things can be displayed over here. Next comes the CSS background attachment. Like for the background attachment, we are having that the attachment of the background, if the size of the web page changes, like if I am restoring the web page or the web page has been minimized to a certain level. So, what will be the size of the background image that is being displayed on the web page? For that, I have to use this attribute background hyphen attachment, which is fixed. Now, if I scroll the web page as well, the web page is very big and I am scrolling that particular web page, in that case as well, the background image will be stagnant. The image will be fixed. If I am scrolling the web page, then also the image will not be changed. Now, this will be the output for this particular example. Like in this example, we can see we are having an HTML page. In this HTML page, we are making a CSS on this body tag. In this body tag, we are having various attachments like the background image URL is being given. That means the background is having some image. We do not want the images to be repeated. So, no repeat has been given the value. The position of the background image will be on the right top position. The right margin will be 200 pixel. And the background image is attachment, it is scrolled. So, what will happen in this? We are making a background CSS. In this background CSS, a URL has been defined. That means the image has been defined. What will be the image of that particular background? Image will not be repeated. The position of that particular image will be right top, and from the right the margin will be of 200 pixel, and the background attachment is said to be scroll. That means that whenever I will be scrolling through the web page, the image will also be get scrolled. Next comes the background shorthand. So, what is basically happening over here? The shorten the code. So, we can also specify all the background properties into a single property. Now, this making multiple properties under a single property, it is known as a shorthand property. This particular procedure is known as a shorthand property. Now, let us see what we have done till now. Till now, what we were doing? We were writing a background color, background image was giving, repeat, no repeat, what will be the position of that particular image, that was given. Now, if I want to write the shorthand, what will be the shorthand for it? For that shorthand, just write background, color, URL. So, what was this? This was the color. What is this? This is the background image. Okay, this is a background image URL. Repeat, no repeat, that is the repeat feature. And right top, it is the position. So, we can see that instead of writing this whole code over again, I am just writing the code in a single line. This is what this method of writing in a single line, it is known as a shorthand property. Okay, so this particular property is used for defining the shorthands. Now next comes in advanced CSS to be the CSS borders. So what is CSS borders? They allow us to specify the style, the width and color of an element's border. I am defining a border. To define that particular border, all these things will be used. Now for that border style, we are having various types of borders, like this dotted, it will define a dotted border. Dashed, it will define a dashed border. We are having a solid will define a solid border. Double, it will define a double border. Groove, it will define a 3D groove border in nature. This ridge, it will define a 3D ridge border. Inset, it will define a inset border, and the value of this particular, it will depend on the background color. Outset, it defines a 3D outset border, and similarly again the value will depend on the background color value. None, it specifies that we do not want to specify any border, so that is a no border. Hidden, it defines a hidden border which is used, and the border style property, it can have any of the form, like for the top border, right border, bottom border, and for the left border. For all these four we can have the values. Now let's see over here, if I want the border to be dotted, so what I have used, p dot dotted, border style is dotted, border style dash, solid, double, groove, ridge, inset, outset, none, hidden, solid dash bubbles. So this is how we can use. As we know that this dot which is used, this dot, it is for the class selector. This is for the class selector. So what do you mean by class selector? Class selector means that whenever I want to use this particular property, like suppose I want to use this p dot dotted property, how I can use? I just have to mention the tag name, which is p, and the name of the class. What is the name of the class? Name of the class is dotted. So class is equal to dash dotted, or if I want to say that class is equal to dash, then I can have that class is equal to dash. For the dotted, just have to write p class is equal to dotted. Okay, and the thing and this tag will be closed. Now what will happen? Whatever text will be written over here, this will have a border which is of the dotted nature, which has been specified in this dotted. So accordingly, the requirement of the border, which border is required, that particular CSS can be used. Similarly, we can identify the border width as well. For the border width, border style is given, border width is given, which is to be 5 pixel, and for this border style and 2 pixel, this is how the border thickness can also be given. Let's see this example. In this we are having various types of classes, like p.1, border style is solid, width is defined to be 5 by 20. So 5 px matlab 5 px means from the top and the bottom, and 20 px means on the sides of the thing. So this is how a border is given. So 5 from the top and the bottom and 20 on the sides. So this is how this will be given. Next one, dot 2, again the style is given to be solid, and the border width has been given 20 by 5. That means from top and bottom it will be 20, and from left and right it is 5. The third style, that is the third class which has been defined, it is to be 3. In this 3, the border style is solid and width is 25 by 10 by 4 and 35. That means 25 from top, 10 by right, 4 by bottom and 35 by left. So we can identify, or we can say that we can give the CSS in this way as well. Next is that along with this we can specify the color of the border as well. To define the color of the border, just use border style and the border color. Border style solid, that means the style of the border, that is solid, dashed, dotted, anything we can write, and to define the color, again we can use this border color. Now to specific side colors, I want these colors of all the sides to be changed. So what I can mention different colors like top, bottom, left and right. So what will happen? Border color, suppose I am mentioning these 4 colors, red, green, blue and yellow. So what will happen? Red, it will be for the top, green, it will be for the right, blue for the bottom and yellow for the left. So this is how it will be taken. If I write just two colors, like if I write this red and blue, now what will it take? It will make red for the top and bottom and blue for the left and the right. Okay, and if I am writing all the four things, then it will take in top, right, bottom and left. Again, we can have the sides of the border to be different as well, like top style has been given what will be the left style, bottom style, right style and the top style. Till now what we were doing, we were just writing this border hyphen style, suppose solid. So in this particular attribute, what we were doing, we were making top, left, bottom and right all to be the same, to be solid. Apart from this, I can make all the sides of the border to be changed as well. Like in this, we are having top style to be solid, dotted, sorry, right to be solid, bottom to be dotted and left to be solid. So in this way, all the sides can be of the different styles. Now, if the border style property, it has the four values, like the top border it is dotted, right border it is solid, bottom is double and the left it is dashed. Similarly, the top border style properties, all these values can be changed accordingly. If I write left, then all the properties will be changed for the left side, right side, top and bottom accordingly. Now, we can have all the four values together, like I discussed shorthand. The same shorthand for the background can be applied to these borders as well. To define those things, border style, dotted, solid, double and dash. So, what will happen? Top, left, bottom and right. Now, CSS shorthand properties, which I have just discussed, border width, border style and the border color. So, for this shorthand property, what I can write is that for this shorthand property, border left 6 pixels, solid red, what will be the color, and the background color it is given to be light gray. So, what is happening over here? For this left, I had mentioned the thickness, the type, the style and the color as well. So, all these three things are combined into a single and making it a shorthand property. Now, CSS rounded borders. For those rounded borders, just have to use border hyphen radius, because rounded means in a circle position. So, if I want the corners to be rounded, I just have to mention the radius till when the color circle to be rounded. So, the radius will be mentioned, and by the help of this, all the borders, all the sides of this particular border, it will be rounded. Like as we can see in this, we are having round 1 class. In this round 1 class, border hyphen radius it is 5 pixel. Round 2 class, if we are using the round 2 class, so it will be of the 8 pixel, 12 pixel and similarly it will be called. So, by the help of these classes as well, we can define the various borders. Next comes the CSS margins. So, basically what CSS margins are used for? The CSS margins, they are used to create the space of the round elements and the outside of any defined borders. So, for that with CSS, we can have the full control of the margins, like from left, right, top and bottom. To make the margins, we just have to mention these four properties: margin hyphen right, margin hyphen right, top, right, bottom and the left. So, all the margins, they will have the various values. What will be the values? First one, it is the auto value. What is the auto value? That the browser calculates the margin. Browser will automatically calculate the margin, that what is the size of the web page from the left, right, top and bottom, and accordingly it will calculate it. The second one, it specifies the length. What is the length? This will specify the margin in the pixel form, point form, centimeter form, any other form which the browser will understand. The third one, it is the percentage form. It specifies the margin percentage in the width of the containing element. In this way, it can specify it. Inherit property, it specifies that the margin, it should be inherited from the parent element. What is the parent element? Any of the, like I had discussed in my earlier videos as well, the parent element, the child element will inherit some properties of the parent element, and all those properties, those will be inherited from the parent element. Negative values, these are also allowed if I use it in the margin. Like see in this particular example, border, it is specified, the size of the border is specified 1 pixel, the type it is solid, and the color of the border it is black. So it is a shorthand notation. Margin from the top it is 100, from bottom, from left, from the right, and the background color it has been specified. So what will happen, the margin of that particular border, from the top it will be of the 100, from the bottom it will be of the 100, right it will be 150, and from the left it will be of the 80 pixels. Similarly, as we have seen the border shorthand property and the background shorthand property, we can have the margin shorthand property as well. To define the margin shorthand property, just write like 25, 50, 75, 100. So what will do, top, right, bottom and left. So this is how it will treat the margin shorthands. Like if I write margin 25, 50, 75, what it will do, this will be for the top, this 50 it will be for the right and left, and this 75 it will be for the bottom. So this is how these particular things will be used. If I just mention these two values like 25 and 50, what will happen? This 25 it will be for the top and the bottom, and this 50 it will be for the left and the right margins. So we are having this particular one value which is having all the 4 margins to be 25. Next comes the auto value. So we can set the margin property to auto to horizontally center the elements with its container. So for this, the element it will take up the value of the specified width, and the remaining space it will be splitted equally between the left and the right margins. For that, if I use this width 300, margin to be auto, so what will it will do? It will take the specified width and automatically it will divide it between left and the right margins. Next is the inherit value, how it will inherit the values from the parent thing. So division has been used, border has been created, and the margin has been made. So margin left, it means inherit. So what it will do, it will inherit the properties of this particular parent value. So this is how this inherit value will be used. Whatever will be its parent, from that container itself, it will specify the margin, and that particular margin can be used in it. Next is the margin collapse. So what will happen, we can have this top and the bottom margins collapsed into a single margin, which makes it to be the largest of the two margins. Like I am having different values for the top and different value for the bottom. What this collapse will do, it will collapse it into a single margin and will make it to be the largest value from among the top and the bottom. Like C is an example. We are having margin 0, 0, 50, 0, and we are having the margin 20, 0, 0, 0. So what will happen in this particular example? In this example, the H1 element, it will have a bottom margin of 50, and this H2 margin, it will have a top margin of the 20. Then the vertical margin, that will be divided between 70 pixel, that is 50 plus 20. But since we are using this margin collapse, so the actual margin it will be of the 50, which is bigger from the 20 and the 50. So basically what is happening in margin collapse, the margin has been collapsed into a single margin and the largest value from those it has been taken. Next comes the CSS padding. So CSS padding, they are used to generate the space around the elements contained, and it is basically like I am having this web page. This is the border. CSS padding, what it will do, it will make this distance between the border and the text which has been written. So we can have the full control of the padding as well. The properties will again be same like top, right, bottom and the left. Padding individual slides. So for these padding individual slides, we are having padding top, padding right, padding bottom and the padding left. For that, if I want the padding to be used for the top, then use the property padding top. For the right, similarly for the right, left and the bottom, this can be used. Again, what can be the values? The values can be, for the length we specify the padding in pixel, point, centimeter. For the percentage, we specify it into be the percentage value. Inherit also work for the same thing. Inherit means it will inherit the value from its parent, and we can have the negative values. These are not allowed in this padding, whereas these negative values were allowed in the margin. Let's see in this example how it is working. padding top, right, bottom and left, we are having different values. So for this it will have a top padding of 50, right of 30, bottom of 50 and a left of 80. Again we can use a shorthand. For that shorthand, what can we use? Padding, colon and all the values in a single line like this. See this shorthand property, what I am using for all these, just use the property padding and all the 4 values together like 25, 50, 10 and 20. So this is how this padding shorthand will work. This is the division which is being used. Padding shorthand has been used. So if I just write these 3 values for the padding, if instead of 4 I just write 3 values, so what will happen? It will take this 25 for the top, this 50 it will take for the left and the right, and this 75 it will take for the bottom. Similarly, if I just write 2 values, that is 25 and 50, what it will do? It will take 25 for top and the bottom, and it will take 50 for this left and the right values. So this is how it will make it. Now next comes the padding and the element width. So the CSS width property, it specifies the width of the element of the content area. Now this content area, it is the portion inside the padding, the border and the margin element, that is the box model it will be used in it. So if an element, it has a specified width and the padding is to be added along with it, then the total width will be, it's an undesirable result. So what we can use, instead of this, like see this example, we are having width to be 300 and the padding is to be 25. In this class has been created ex1, width has been defined 300 and background color it has defined to be the yellow. Similarly, the background color it has been defined to be the light blue. So what will happen for the ex2, the width will be different, the padding will be different, although it is defined as the 300 in the CSS. So to keep the width at 300 pixel, and independent of the amount of the padding, we can have this box sizing property as well. So this will cause the element to maintain its width if we are increasing the padding, and the available content strength will be decreased. Now in this box sizing property, we can keep the width to be 300 pixel no matter the amount of the padding. So box sizing will be box sizing hyphen border box. So what will happen in this? The size will remain same instead of the size of the padding. So this is how, these were the few things that we were using in the advanced CSS. So basically what we have seen how we can define the colors for the background, for the text, how we can have this shorthand notations, how we can have the images in the background, how the colors will be used in this. So this is how this advanced CSS can be used. Thank you.